My name is Tony Mai. Trump says he wants the country opened up and just raring to go by Easter, despite health experts' warnings. The White House's coronavirus task force is receiving plenty of feedback from public health experts who are sounding the alarm over easing the social distancing guidelines next week. A source familiar with the matter said. Although Trump has talked about reopening the country by Easter, the source said, the president hasn't reached a final decision on exactly when the government's guidelines would be relaxed to get the economy back up and running. Trump is hearing from advisors who are urging him to make Easter more of an aspirational date, the source added. When Trump talked up the idea of packing churches on Easter, the source continued, the president knew it was more wishful thinking than a realistic goal. He was being himself, they said. At the moment, the source said the current thinking is that it's unlikely Trump will relax the social distancing guidelines next week, when the current 15-day period for those measures is scheduled to come to an end. That kind of a move would likely spark fierce debate inside the task force, the source said. A beautiful timeline, Trump told reporters during the daily press briefing it was his idea and not that of his medical experts to suggest Easter, which falls on April 12, as a potential date by which the U.S. would again be raring to go. We'll only do it if it's good. We'll do large sections of the country, Trump said, adding he would listen closely to recommendations from Dr. Anthony Fauci and Dr. Deborah Birx, two top medical experts on the White House coronavirus task force. Asked who suggested the Easter date, Trump said it was him. I thought it was a beautiful time. A beautiful timeline, he said. Pressed whether it was based on data, he said, it was based on a certain level of weeks from the time we started and it happened to arrive. We were thinking of terms of sooner. I'd love to see it come sooner. Fauci told reporters that while he met with Trump in the Oval Office Tuesday he emphasized the need to be flexible in determining a date for a bounce back. We just had a conversation with the president in the Oval Office. You can look at a date, but you gotta be very flexible, Fauci told reporters when asked what he thought of Trump's timeline. Fauci also said that parts of the country may be okay by Easter, but added other places that are worsening would likely not be. Obviously, no one is going to want to tone down things when you see things going on like in Nike, he said. Health officials drafting plans. It's a timeline that federal public health professionals are now drafting plans for, a senior federal health official involved in the coronavirus response told CNN on Tuesday. The official told CNN that public health professionals are drafting options to be able to allow people to take a step back into society in certain areas. The official described a rolling response, with recommendations easing for different parts of the country at different times. The source cautioned that this approach is not without risk, as it could mean sending people back to work or school. The response to this outbreak is going to be rolling with increased mitigation, and then we'll see it back off, followed by another increase as the virus increases, the senior official said, referring to epidemiological modeling data shared with the response team members. With that said, we have to be willing to tolerate some risk in order to mitigate the virus. Echoing members of the White House coronavirus task force, the official told CNN, this is not a one-size-fits-all approach. We can't do what we're doing now and think it's sustainable. We have to allow for the variations of the virus moving across the country. One idea being discussed inside the task force is dramatically expanding self-testing for the coronavirus on a massive scale inside the country, the source familiar with the matter said. That would provide public health experts with a wealth of data to make more informed decisions about restarting the economy. Under such a scenario, almost anybody with flu-like symptoms could be tested, giving the administration a better sense of where the coronavirus is impacting communities. That obviously would take time. But the problem right now, they added, is that very little data is available due to the slow rollout of testing across the country. Administration health experts have an understanding of what's happening in New York, California and Washington state. But less is known about the state of the pandemic in areas where there aren't any known outbreaks. We don't have the testing to know what's going on, the source said. Disagreement within the White House over Easter goal. Trump's new Easter goal came hours after the New York Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo said that the state is expecting a height of coronavirus infections to come in 2 to 3 weeks. In a separate Fox News interview later Tuesday, the president provided a little more reasoning behind his timeline. So, I think Easter Sunday, and you'll have packed churches all over our country. I think it would be a beautiful time. And it's just about the timeline that I think is right, he said. The administration's social distancing guidelines recommend against gatherings of more than 10 people, and many places of worship have adapted with online services. Trump did concede he wasn't sure if that timing just 19 days from now would work. It gives us more chance to work on what we're doing, and I'm not sure that's going to be the day, but I would love to aim it right at Easter Sunday. So we're open for church service and services generally on Easter Sunday, he said. That would be a beautiful thing. Birx, who serves as the White House coronavirus coordinator, was asked during the town hall whether she thinks an Easter deadline is realistic. A lot of what we've done is tackle this epidemic the way people said we should have tackled the flu in 1918, Birx responded, adding that the president has asked the task force to use these 2 weeks to get all the data from around the country. She also reasserted that every American needs to continue the president's guidelines for these next 6 or 7 days. Despite announcing the new guidelines under the banner, the president's coronavirus guidelines for America, Trump seemed to distance himself from the practices during the town hall. Somehow, the word got out that this is the thing we are supposed to be doing, he said, noting the country had never done a thing like this before. But we had to do it. It's been very painful for our country and very destabilizing, he said. As his advisors prepare options for returning the country to work, Trump suggested that Americans would still be able to exercise good health practices while still returning to normal. We have to go back to work much sooner than people thought, he said. Trump again compared coronavirus to the flu and auto accidents, despite warnings from his health advisors that such analogies make little sense. We lose thousands and thousands of people to the flu. We don't turn the country off, he said, adding, we lose much more than that to automobile accidents. Last week, Dr. Fauci, the director of the National Institute for Allergies and Infectious Diseases, said comparing coronavirus to auto accidents was a false equivalency and said it was important to face the fact that coronavirus is more lethal than the flu. President Donald Trump says he wants the nation opened up and just raring to go by Easter, a date just more than 2 weeks away that few health experts believe will be sufficient in containing the spread of coronavirus. Speaking during a Fox News town hall on Tuesday, Trump reiterated he was eager to see the nation return to normal soon, even as doctors warn the nation will see a massive spike in cases if Americans return to crowded workplaces or events. I give it 2 weeks, Trump said earlier in the town hall, suggesting he was ready to phase out his 15-day self-isolating guidelines when they expire. I guess by Monday or Tuesday, it's about 2 weeks. We will assess at that time and give it more time if we need a little more time. We have to open this country up. But Trump said Monday that the health experts on his task force do not necessarily agree with his hope for a quick return to their jobs to boost the economy. Some Republicans on Capitol Hill, including Senator Joni Ernst of Iowa and Representative Liz Cheney of Wyoming, are also sounding the alarm. There will be no normally functioning economy if our hospitals are overwhelmed and thousands of Americans of all ages, including our doctors and nurses, lay dying because we have failed to do what's necessary to stop the virus, Cheney, the No. 3 House Republican, tweeted Tuesday. President Trump, I would love to have the country opened up and just raring to go by Easter. President Donald Trump said Tuesday he is hoping the country will be reopened by Easter Sunday, April 12th. I would love to have the country opened up and just raring to go by Easter, he said during a Fox News virtual town hall. I gave it 2 weeks, Trump said about the shelter-in-place guidelines much of the country is living with now. I guess by Monday or Tuesday, it's about 2 weeks. We will assess at that time and give it more time if we need a little more time. We have to open this country up. Somehow, the word got out that this is the thing we are supposed to be doing, he said, adding the country had never done a thing like this before. But we had to do it. It's been very painful for our country and very destabilizing, Trump said. We have to go back to work much sooner than people thought. We want to start up as soon as we can because we'll have a very quick comeback if we delay this thing out. You're gonna lose more people than you're losing with the situation as we know it. We'll assess at that time and we'll give it some more time if we need a little more time, but we need to open this country up. We have to go back to work much sooner than people thought. We lose thousands and thousands of people to the flu. We don't turn the country off, he noted. We lose much more than that to automobile accidents. Our people want to return to work, the president tweeted earlier Tuesday. They will practice social distancing and all else, and seniors will be watched over protectively and lovingly. We can do two things together. The cure cannot be worse, by far, than the problem. Bill Hemmer, Fox News, you said something 20 minutes ago that I am sure a lot of people were pretty keen on. You said that we would, I am paraphrasing now, you would like to be back to normal by Easter Sunday. President Donald Trump, yes. Hemmer, that is 19 days from now. Is that true? Is that possible or is that false hope? Trump, I think it's possible. Why isn't it? I mean, we have never closed the country before and we have had some pretty bad flu and we have had some pretty bad viruses and I think that is absolutely possible. Now people are going to have to practice all of these social distancing and don't shake hands and wash your hands and all of the things that we are doing now, but we have to get our country back to work. Our country wants to be back at work. That was not a controversial thing I said the other day. Our country wants to go back to work, and again the cure, it's like this cure is worse than the problem. Again, many people, in my opinion more people are going to die if we allow this to continue. We have to go back to work. Our people want to go back to work. Hemmer, what you have said consistently is the first order of business is to kill the virus. So when you look at the data from around the world and across our country, how do you determine that 19 days from now it might be safe because there are millions of people watching this now who have their family fortune on the line? Trump, traumatic, well, they have their family fortune on the blind the other way too. They are going to lose their jobs, maybe never to get them back. They are going to lose their businesses, never to get them back. We want to start up as soon as we can because we are going to have a very quick comeback if I do that. If we delay this thing out, you are going to lose more people than you are losing with the situation as we know it, so I think it is very important for our country to go back, and I have had many people, when you said it was a little bit controversial and not to most people think I'm right about it. Now whether we are locked in a room or whether we are in our office and practicing all of the things that we are supposed to be practicing, staying away from each other, etc. Not shaking hands, washing your hands all of the time, but our country has to get back to work. Otherwise it's going to be very hard to start it up again. We can't lose the advantage that we have.